Hi, it's Richard from the Homeschool Freedom Club, and I've got Tamsin Markham-David with me today. Hi, Tamsin. Really lovely to see you. Um,
Thank you for having me on.
no, you're very welcome. Tamsin got in touch with me recently, sort of through what I'm doing with the Homeschool Freedom Club, and when she told me what she was doing, it was a case of right, I've got to get her here to have a chat with her, to tell more people about what you're up to. But first up, let's have a little chat about you. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
Yeah, so I'm Tamsin. I live in Christchurch, Dorset. I'm a mum of one, and my daughter has always been home educated. I've been very blessed to never have to send her to nursery or to school. We haven't had to try it and then pull her out. And I've always, I think she flipped the switch when she was still in my tummy. Like I thought my life was going to be very different when I was a mother, and I was going to have a nanny, and I was going, nothing was going to change. All of this, and my life couldn't be further from the truth. further from that kind of, I would actually even probably call it a nightmare that I had of what motherhood was going to be like at that point. And yeah, so I now solo parent Zara. She's always been at home with me. We still co-sleep, all of the things that at that point I had no recollection of, no idea of, and no concept of how really important it was to be with your child.
Yeah.
And that how you give them the foundation for everything when they're still small. So Zara has taught me the most that I've ever learned in my entire life, and also asked me to unlearn the most that I've ever unlearned in my entire life. Before I had her, I was a corporate. I was in hospitality, then property, then finance in London. And now I'm not. And now I couldn't think of anything worse, going back to an office and putting my poor feet into those pointy shoes and all of that jazz. And so now I work from home, and I've set up what we're gonna, I guess, talk about in a little bit to give me what I always missed, others what I think they're missing, and support Zara so that we can actually still kind of, I guess, create a life together, but also create the income that we need to have that life.
It's interesting, isn't it? What you say about sort of not missing the corporate world. I don't think I know anybody that stepped away from that actually does miss it one little bit.
Yeah.
The commuting and the long hours and all the office politics and all the crap that goes along with that. It's,
Exactly.
it's very, very different when you step away from that. Your life does look very different, and it's interesting. I mean, I never, what you say about the co-sleeping and stuff. I mean, my 9-year-old still occasionally wants to sort of hop into bed with us. A 6-year-old does probably half the week as well, and it's just whenever they want it, we give it. I never thought I'd ever do that, honestly. It just wasn't on the radar, wasn't in the plans, but it it does show you how important, how much we've been conditioned out of that being the norm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, there's so much conditioning out there that takes us away from that connection with our children.
Yeah. And that's really what I think I guess I have been pushing back against the entire time since I became a mother, is that, and not knowing how to put it into words or put it into something that I can help other people with. But I was like, this separation thing is just wrong. This is just absolutely wrong. And the fact that they go to, now in the UK, I think they've brought it in now, that you can have free childcare from 9 months. So, I mean, children from 9 months old are going to be, and I mean, some parents have to work. So that this isn't a judgment thing on if you have to do it, which is kind of why I've started what I have, because some people do need to go back into employment until they've decided to make the jump into self-employment or starting their own business or whatever it might be. But just giving that optimal care instead of it now being across the board, and that so many services that are offered now for kids just aren't acceptable.
Well, that's the thing, is it? And kind of, especially with the way things have gone economically the last 3 or 4 years, that more and more people are being forced into that position where both parents need to work. They can't afford to be at home with the children. Of course, this is by design, honestly, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was reading Gabor Mate's book, How to Hold On to Your Kids, and he was saying back in the 30s, it only took the husband, which was the norm at that point, to go out and work, and he had 43 hours outside of work to spend with his family a week. And now in today's world, it's down to like 13 hours that you get to spend with your family a week. And then of course that, both parents now have to go out to work. So, the monetization of the female workforce after the war was then
more taxpayers. Yeah. And I mean, the other statistic that always sticks with me is that 90% of the time you'll ever have with your kids is over by the time they're 18.
I know.
And that, that was like, wow. And they're farmed out for the entire week.
Until they're 18, aren't they? And then they go to university and then they're gone.
Yeah. So that's a real, that for me was another one of the ones that made me sit back and go, wow, okay, then things need to change. And this is something that you're working towards and helping other people to, or should I say, working other people to work towards with the Unify Foundation. I'd love to hear more about that and what you're doing and what it was. What was the prompt that made you think, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out there and start moving other people into this life.
So what was I kind of had always, so I've always, when I first started the online world back in March 2020, I initially wanted to support mothers in realizing that they can work from home or they can start a business around something they love so that they can have more time with their kids. Mm-hmm. And then as time went on with the online world, I have to admit I went down a few rabbit holes. I then started trying to show people how to create courses. I then said how you could, I actually did Forex for a while, quite successfully, and enjoyed that, but then found that really hard to show other people without, there's a big fear of skepticism with it. So that didn't work out very well. And then, so a few other things. And every 6 months to a year, I'd come back to, I really want to set up to help mums stay at home with their kids. I really want to set up. And I kept on coming back. And then earlier on this year, my dad got very sick. And unfortunately, he passed away over summer. And I just said, enough is enough. I need to just create what's on my heart and not waste any more time. And so then now we've gone full throttle into Unify Foundation, which is there to support parents balance work and family life. So it stands on 3 pillars, which is adaptability. So that's like flexibility of work or flexibility of the work day. Nurture, which is, as you can see, big on my heart, taking care of kids and really spending time with them and understanding that parents are really the only one that should be soothing the kids when they're upset. And so all of our facilities allow for that free flow kind of childcare. And then unity. So we believe that the family is better together. So we all of our events are family friendly. So they all have free childcare or kids corner. So kids are always welcome at anything that we do. Any workshop that I do, any exercise class that we're going to be running, family are welcome. It's not a case of kids go over there, adults go and do what they need to do, and we'll come back together and have supper, So that's kind of where Unify came from. I've finally taken the leap and decided to do what I've been wanting to do for years, but been a bit too scared to go all in on.
I mean, it's absolutely wonderful. It sounds like an amazing initiative. And what we'll do after this, when I post this interview, we'll put all your links and bits and pieces below the interview. And the other thing that you're working on is the FreedomExpo, and that's later this month, isn't it, in Ringwood in Hampshire? So again, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because you've got quite a lineup of speakers that are coming to talk, and just tell us a bit more about what it's about, what the themes will be, and maybe who the speakers are as well.
Yeah, well, so Unify, I kind of was drowning a bit and having to do everything. And so I kind of, in the group where we have people who've shown interest, I said, would anyone like to, help me grow this? And there were a few hands that went up, and I've spoken to a few people. And one of the ladies that I spoke to, she said, well, it might be a conflict of interest, but I'm really interested to understand more about what you're doing anyway. So let's have a coffee. And we did. She runs her own CIC, which is called Social We, which is all about supporting home educating families to create their village. So their tagline is, it takes a village. Yeah. And I was like, yes, okay, we need to do something together. This is amazing. And we were just talking about how wonderful it is to have life on our terms and to not be, I don't know, ruled by an alarm clock or by rushing to certain deadlines that other people say that we have to do. And we said, wouldn't it be lovely if more people just knew about this? And then we went, should we just do an exhibition on it? And I was like, yeah. So within about 20 minutes, this idea of FreedomExpo was born. And that is what it is. It's about building a life that allows you to put family first.
Yeah.
So we are looking at all of our speakers are people who are self-employed, who have created a business, excuse me, around family life, or created a business so that they can have a family life.
Yeah.
So our keynote speaker is actually Liz Ferrioli-Brown, and she's actually my co-tenant in the space that we have now got Unify set up as, and we've got our first permanent space. And I was chatting to her and I was just like, would you like to be our keynote speaker for FreedomExpo? Now she is a mum of 6. She's a 48-year-old woman, which shouldn't be exceptional until I tell you she is British champion, European champion, and world champion at kickboxing. Currently, like right now, she holds the titles. Wow. And she is, I think she's not going back. I think the Europeans are within the next couple of weeks, and we were having a discussion.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm not going back to defend them. And she said, and everyone was asking me, why? And she's like, I've done it. I've got it. And she said, if I need to go back to defend it, that means taking a whole weekend away from my family. She said, why would I want to do that? And I was like, so she just ticks. She moved away from corporate herself. So she was at Westfield. I think she was running the whole of the IT of Westfield. She was, she said, life was brilliant. I got all the money. She said, but I never saw my kids. And she was about to have, I think, her 6th one yes. And she said, I don't want this to be, the legacy that I leave. And so she started up her own kickboxing organization.
Wow.
And so she's now, so now she's got a space in Ringwood. And she's a lovely lady. She does a lot with the community. She's helping people with fuel poverty at the moment. And she's also looking to support people who want to grow their own veg, like to grow, actually be a bit more self-sufficient and eat nice food instead of food laden with X, Y, and Z. Yeah, exactly. So she's very much aligned with everything that we are looking to create with Unify. And so I just couldn't help but ask her to be our keynote speaker. So she's the first speaker, and then everybody else is someone that's either moved away from work, from office work, or someone who has created a business to put themselves around family life. They're all mums, just happens to be, although I've come across a few dads recently, and I'm like, but our speakers are full, so it's all right. We're already planning to have another one, and it's not just a one-hit wonder. So maybe next time we'll just do all dads, although it would be really nice to have it like all together. But
it's we need balance.
It's just I think it's probably an inaccurate representation, maybe, with them all being female speakers.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously there are home educating dads out there, but I don't see as many of them. I mean, in my group, I would say it's 90% female.
Yeah. Okay.
So but I think generally the mums are at home educating, and the dads are still doing the 9 to 5, and they're out there, and I think that's maybe why. So it's it's that split still. But for me, it was moving away. I mean, I had my own business for 15 years until COVID happened. It was an event management business, funny enough. I did that for a long time, and I was working full-time hours, because it was my business, and actually COVID allowed me to step away from that for a while, funnily enough, and gave me a little bit of respite from that, and let me see actually there was a different way to move forwards as well. So I think sometimes even when you've got your own business, you can still be flogging yourself just as hard, and you're still, the money might be better, but it's all dependent on you. You haven't got that monthly paycheck coming in, and so there is that balance there, isn't there? It's kind of an interesting dance between that stability, but also having to still make sure that there's work coming in, that there's, that you're getting an income as well, because it's not guaranteed every month once you start working for yourself. Yeah,
and I think that's what puts quite a lot of people off. Also because I think that level of independence or self-sufficiency has been eroded for a long time, for probably about 4 generations of being able to stand on our own 2 feet. And so this, it can be a rude awakening when you're like, oh my God, okay, we've got 2 weeks of the month left. Right. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? But then when the end of the month comes and you've nailed it again, it's like, it's okay. Well, I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I wouldn't want to go back to a corporate job of any kind. I spent enough time working in London and doing the thing, and it's it doesn't hold any appeal whatsoever.
No, done your time. I've done my time too. That's good. Serve the time in London.
So when is the Freedom Expo and where is it?
So it's the 23rd of November, 10 o'clock, and it's at the Trinity United Church, which is in the centre of Ringwood, just on on Christchurch Road. You can't miss it as you drive past.
Like the one-way system kind of thing. It's a big one-way, isn't it?
Just before you get off onto the one-way system. Yeah. That little roundabout there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how much is it for people to join?
Well, at the moment, we've got a raffle on for free tickets, and the early bird is on for £15. So I would join the raffle, and then I'm sure there will be some special offers that come after the raffle, just as a little insider nudge.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, lovely. I mean, as I say, we'll put all the details so that people can find out a bit more about this under the interview when this goes out. But it's been really lovely chatting to you, Tamsin. Thank you so much for coming to talk about this. I think it's so valuable what you're doing. We do need to get people out of these systems that they've become used to and dependent upon. And so anything that contributes towards that, in my books, is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.